ANC's regional chairperson, Dada Morero, is tipped for the position of executive mayor. That's following the resignation of Kabelo Gwamanda in the city of Joburg. His candidature was made official at an ANC briefing today. Calls for Gwamanda's resignation had recently intensified, with opposition parties and civic organizations arguing that his tenure had been marred by failure. ANC Regional spokesperson Sasabona Manganye says the City of Johannesburg will have a new mayor by Friday. Earlier we spoke to Dr Mpho Phalatse, who's the former first female executive mayor in the City of Johannesburg, for some reaction.
I actually can't believe that we allowed Mayor Gwamanda to stay in that seat for as long as he has. We always knew when he became mayor that he was a caretaker mayor. We always knew that it was a compromised position while the bigger parties were trying to find each other. As you recall, there was at the time talks. There were talks between the ANC and the EFF over the mayorship of Johannesburg. There were also talks over the mayorship of Ekurhuleni. And at the time, the deal was if the EFF got mayorship of Ekurhuleni, the ANC would then take over Johannesburg. And while they were not finding each other, a compromised mayor had to be placed in that position. It's quite unfortunate that we've allowed it to go on for so long, that service delivery has so deteriorated in the interim. And it's one thing for the mayor to claim that he actually improved service delivery. Our lived experience on the ground as residents of Johannesburg is different. We've seen a decline across various indicators, whether it's water supply, electricity supply, traffic lights, and various other indicators that I can name. So this is a victory for the people of Johannesburg, but we're nowhere near the end of this battle. We need to see that the right person is in that position and that the turnaround strategy of the city is underway.
What we do know is that the City of Johannesburg is expecting a new mayor by Friday. The ANC's regional chairperson, Dada Morero, is tipped for that position. Of course, this is the same candidate who had to step down after 25 days in office. As you, Dr Phalatse, were reinstated at the time as Joburg mayor. What are your sentiments on Morero as a candidate and the man who could be leading the City of Johannesburg?
Well, on a personal level, I have no issues with Councillor Dada Morero. I must say professionally, however, I do not have adequate information that suggests that he is the right person to take the city forward. I do hope that the ANC will share that information with us. You will remember that when Mayor Gwamanda took over, a lot surfaced about his background that was quite concerning. And so we could almost envisage that the city would go on a downward spiral. It will be quite interesting to see what the ANC puts forward as a value proposition. And as far as Councillor Morero is concerned, he must have a track record of leadership, management, turnaround. They need to share that with residents of Johannesburg so we can have confidence that his mayorship will take us where we need to go as a city.
You were in the position before and, of course, encountering several challenges, really just trying to stabilize the city. What would you say are some of the pressing challenges and perhaps some advice for Morero, who's set to become the city's 10th executive mayor since the 2016 local government elections? I mean, what does the instability, the chopping, the changing signify about the leadership issues in the city of Johannesburg?
Well, I mean, I think you've started off well with, the fact that Johannesburg needs stability first and foremost. Without stability, we're not going to get anywhere. And I believe Councillor Morero is aware of that. Every resident of Johannesburg is concerned, and various other stakeholders too. So whatever negotiations are there at a political level between what would appear is the African National Congress and Action SA, they really need to see this through to at least the 2026 mark, when we will be going to elections and hopefully bringing in a majority party that can take the city forward. Until then, they really need to ensure that there's no further instability. But the city of Johannesburg is unique in the sense that, one, we are the economic hub, so we do contribute quite significantly to the country's GDP. However, we've got several backlogs, infrastructure backlogs and service delivery backlogs that we need to address urgently to inspire confidence in investors and in business that we can indeed work together to grow the economy, create jobs, and get Johannesburg economically vibrant again. And in order for us to do that, we need several key interventions, and those were already underway, I must say, under our leadership. One, we need a very strong relationship with National Treasury to begin to reorientate the city's finances towards what is key and core and as far as local government is concerned. I've spoken a lot about unfunded mandates in the City of Johannesburg. A lot of our budget goes where it's not supposed to. We need to address that either by demanding that we get the mandate devolved to local government so that we can access the funds directly from National Treasury for those functions, or we should then give the functions back to the core mandate holders because they're receiving the funds. And then we can reorientate our budget towards what is core. That is one. Two, we also need to optimize revenue collection. As you know, much of our budget is from own revenue. Now, our revenue is at risk because of load shedding, for one. All these outages that we've been having means we're not selling as much water, electricity as we should, and therefore we're not bringing in the revenue we should be bringing in. We've got, of course, also the culture of non-payment, which also needs to be addressed. We need to ensure that people who can afford to pay are paying, and those who can't afford are supported through our social packages, and so on. As revenue collection increases, we will have more at our disposal to address the challenges of the city. Of course, we then also need to rally other stakeholders, including business, where we will still not have enough to address our 30-year backlog. We need to see how we bring in the private sector through Triple P's programs to help us address our various challenges. And these are some of the few things that we can already start doing. These were, of course, underway. Technocrats are aware of these programs and the solutions that were placed on the table, and they just need to be supported to implement those.
The ANC first formed its government of national unity, which saw 9 parties coming for positions and so forth. But we know that this didn't find expression in Gauteng, with the party's leadership in the province failing to reach a working agreement with the DA. What kind of dynamic do you think this presents?
Well, I must say that I was quite disappointed. And, as you know, I'm not actively involved in politics at the moment. I've gone back to healthcare. And I would have expected that with this development, with the mayor's resigning, the Democratic Alliance would be a player. We did win 26% of the vote in the 2021 election, which means 26% of residents want the Democratic Alliance to lead the city. Now, it looks like the DA has decided to sit this one out. I must say, personally, I was quite disappointed. It does appear as though it's actually SA and the ANC mainly that have entered into negotiations to take the city forward. So hopefully the two of them will take the city forward, but quite a loss for Joburg residents that the one party with the most experience, with the tried and tested machinery, and as far as local government is concerned, has decided to sit this one out.
What kind of mayor do you think the city needs to take over the reins and provide much needed services and ensure that there's a culture of payment and revenue collection is organized and well optimized?
Well, firstly, you need a mayor that can have the confidence of all key stakeholders within the city, residents, business, civil society, a mayor who will communicate often, teach and train and equip residents and the various other stakeholders to work with them. Often people behave in certain ways that are contrary to the city's plan because of a lack of understanding. And it was my experience that through IDP processes and various other engagements, as soon as you provide information, you're able to then rally the troops and bring people along with you to support you in turning the city around. The mayor also needs to have capacity to lead leaders. You've got in the bureaucracy technocrats who are quite excited to work with a leader that can mobilize them as human resources and really allow them the space to be creative, come up with innovative solutions to resolve some of our pressing challenges. And that mayor would need to have the requisite skills, a level of professionalism, some qualifications so that they can engage at a certain level with these technocrats and provide vision and be able to rally them to begin to turn the city around. That's really crucial. You also need somebody that can work well across political parties. When we talk about stability, if a mayor is not able to engage across the various political parties, whether in government or in opposition, that lends itself to instability. Yep. So you need somebody that can also rally the leaders of various political parties, ensure that there's buy-in and support around certain key functions such as the IDP processes, the budgeting processes, and so on.